Raw Talk.
Thanks to Mark Mackler again. Doug Sacklevin's coming up in about 20 minutes, and then we have Jane Cormier in to tell us how things are going at the protest at Planned Parenthood today, Right to Life protest. But before we get to any of that, we're going to talk about guns. Guns. There we go.
Yeah, turn on the mic.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Do your job. You had one job.
I had more than one job.
Okay. So just before we came on, we decided we'll talk guns, and I brought up Tracking Point's new gun. You know, the gun that Democrats hate because it makes everybody a sniper. I mean, they came out a couple of years ago with this gorgeous gun full of ballistics computers that attached to your phone by Wi-Fi, and it did all kinds of nice stuff. But basically, it did all the figuring out if you knew weather computer, ballistics comp. As long as you could tell it what round you were using, the whole bit. Yeah,
Google's going to invent a shooterless gun soon, right? I mean, why not?
You pull the trigger, and it doesn't fire until you finally move the gun to where the ballistic computer tells you to move it, and then all of a sudden, bang, and you're a sniper at 1,200 yards.
Well,
now they got a cheaper one. Instead of $28,000, it's $17,000.
Well, Fish and Game has had the foresight to already come out with rules about these types of guns. And the sticking point there was defining what I forget the term they were using. I can't remember it now, but the telemetry on these guns. For example, I have one rifle. It has a scope that's light gathering and has lighted reticles, and it has a rangefinder built in. So when you're looking down through the scope, the distance pops up.
Yeah.
Is that defined as a smart gun? There's no clear answer. And at the same time, they meshed it in with the issue of automated game cameras. You put a game camera out in the woods, and when a deer steps in front of it, it sends a video message to your phone. Hey, look, there's a deer in front of your game camera. So they came out with rules for that. So, the smart guns have already been addressed in the hunting community, i.e., you can't use them. So if you want to take a deer from 1,200 yards, you can't do it in New Hampshire. Not that you're going to have a clear path at 1,200 yards. We've got too many woods and trees. But, smart guns, it's a topic of discussion everywhere, and it's freaking people out.
See, I don't look at it as freaking out coming from the technical side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been doing computers since first couple of years in high school. This doesn't bother me at all. I look at it as, I'll take I am not a great shooter.
You're a gun guy.
Yeah, huh?
If you're not a gun guy.
Well, I'm not as into it as Rick is because I just can't.
But enough. But
I am enough of a gun guy that says...
Take your average, everyday, Martha Fuller Clark-esque type person who's anti-gun.
She'd never have a gun in her hands, period. I'm looking at it as I'm not that great of a shot. I'll take every advantage I can get.
Yeah, but that's why she's afraid of it, because she thinks it turns you into a sniper. And you can shoot her before she hits that pedestrian on the sidewalk.
Right. Just mows them over,
Yeah, but then that comes back to the phrase that I always say, law-abiding citizen. I am a law-abiding citizen.
I agree completely. And I'm just
why shouldn't I be able to have that along with my A10?
Of course, they're not concerned about the driverless car thing, which is the same thing in theory, but cars are more dangerous.
Right.
So...
Yeah.
No, they want the autonomous cars because by government fiat or legislation, they're going to have that kill switch. That's what I fear, that they're going to come along. And I like driving. I like driving long distances. I like driving a manual. I like driving fast. I don't race, but I like driving. And I fear the day with I can appreciate the autonomous technology and what it all goes into to get that, but I don't want to be told until I become too feeble. I don't want to be told, well, for safety's sake, you can't drive anything anymore. And then I am at the mercy of government that can tell they built everything else into the regulations for building a car. Why can't they say, we're going to do an Amber Alert on your car? Stop.
So guns.
Yeah. Smart guns, I don't really know how to address that issue. It's a sign of the times that technology's coming. People are developing it. I'm sure there's an application, yay and amen. But a gun guy like me, I'm a certified firearms instructor. I actually have a piece of paper where I had to take a course and follow a regimen and do, a test to become a firearms instructor. I've always ascribed to the basic tenet that firearm is a tool. It's an extension of the human being. So if you suck with firearms, you know, you're not going to be any better with a smart gun. You know,
Well-
the smart gun is doing the work. So I've always ascribed to the bottom line principle that, you know, if you suck with firearms, improve with firearms.
Yeah,
if
how
you
does
want to
the-
try out a smart gun.
How does the smart gun affect bad trigger pull? I mean, if you pull the trigger wrong, what difference does it make if the computer tells you where to shoot it? You just moved the gun.
Yeah,
But see,
that's it, you
with
know.
tracking point, you've already pulled the trigger.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I
So-
missed. You did say that. I apologize.
But you know, let's look at the Navy SEALs that boarded that took out the skinnies. I shouldn't use it. That's a bad term.
Racist.
Mayor-
Here, I'll say it for them. Racist.
Racist. Yes, these Navy SEAls are on board a ship.
Yep.
Took
Took-
out 3 skinnies that had hijacked the Maersk, Alabama. Okay. Now think about what those guys did. They didn't have smart guns. They had rifles with scopes on them, probably 338 Lapua Magnums, if I had to guess.
On what?
Which I'm probably right. They're on the fantail, a pitching fantail, going up and down, and then you have this little rescue lifeboat going up and down, and you got 3 Navy SEALs. They're zoned in, they're targeted in, they got their wind speed, they got everything, and all 3 of them shot at the same time, taking out the skinnies and rescuing Captain Phillips.
That's a pretty damn impressive feat right there.
And they didn't use smart guns. They used pure skill. Okay.
Agreed.
That's what we call badassery.
No kidding.
You know, and those are perishable skills. If they don't keep working on those skills, they go away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same with anybody who picks up, possesses, carries, holds a firearm. Firearm skills are perishable. You've got to keep constantly going at them. For example, in June, I'm probably crazy, but I've enrolled, paid my $425 to be involved in Dave Spalding's Handgun Combatives, which will be held at the club. Very rigorous course, you know. And again, that's my development going forward. These are advanced courses. They're not for the, ground level beginning pistol person. You know what I'm saying? But again, the reason I'm taking that course is to develop my skills moving forward. I was in the military, and I did firearms in the military, and the way they teach firearms in the military is very different the way firearms are taught in the civilian world. Okay, and there is a very clear distinction. Very different, very different. I mean, the military's come a long way in their firearms training, but again, the mission is entirely different. When you're in the civilian world, firearms use is generally defensive. The military, firearms use can be offensive, or generally is offensive if you're in a Marine unit. So those are the distinctions that I always explain to people. So you get a guy that says, I was in the Army for 30 years, I was in Special Forces. Well, he might be equipped to teach offensive combat, but I'm not sure you're getting everything. Like, for example, you take a guy that goes out, he buys a firearm, maybe he's 30 years old, never saw anything, never handled a firearm in his whole life. I mean, there is a ground skill. You've got to teach that guy from the ground up. You've got to teach him how to hold that firearm. You've got to teach him how to properly, the 4 universal safety rules: finger off the trigger, don't put the finger on the trigger until you're on target and ready to shoot, don't flash the muzzle at anything you don't intend to destroy, and know your target, what's beyond. You've got to inculcate all that. So you take a beginning guy, you teach him how to properly hold the pistol, keep his finger off the trigger, what we call nose over toes, proper stance, proper body positioning. And the reason we teach all that from the ground up is because that all ties into consistency of accuracy. Take that breath, let out half, press the trigger, take up the slack, fire. Okay, sight alignment, sight picture. All of that goes into that basic teaching metric. And my experience has been a lot of military guys don't really have the patience to start somebody from that ground up. They're used to dealing with people that already have some basic level of firearms instruction under their belt. So, I'm not saying that's universal across the board. I don't want to generalize, but a lot of guys that I've seen.
See, I come from the other side of that. I deal with computers all day long.
Sure.
I use a computer at work, and when I'm done with work, since I work at home, I come out, couch time in the living room.
Sure.
And what comes out with me? the computer so I can do some research for blogging. The computer augments what I can do. I wouldn't be able to do what we do, we do at Granite Rock, without the computer. If I need to look something up, I can Google it. To me, it is not just a resource, but it's augmenting my skills with what I do. And I'm looking at, with a smart gun. And again, folks, we're not talking about the smart gun from the aspect of, it can only fire with the owner holding the gun or somebody that's been designated as an owner,
you have
co-owner.
to breathe into it.
Yeah. With all this hoo-ha that the Democrats just love because, again, they're looking for that switch where they can disable them all. And we all know that because they will want to do that. But
as an aside, somebody has one of those in their vehicle, you're going to breathe into it to make it start. It's always fun to walk and go, hey, what's that for?
Well,
that was just my aside.
And I go to Tree Hugger all the time, and there's a rant by Lloyd Alter, one of the more socialist folks there, and he's ruining the day that why aren't we keeping, why aren't they making cars so that you can't text, and why it won't keep all the drunks out? It's like, well, gee, thanks for condemning us and making us all guilty that we have to prove our innocence. Well, he's a Canadian, so he doesn't care.
Right.
But but to get back to the point, so for me to look at something like Tracking Point has, or some of the advanced scopes that are now coming out that pair up with your smartphone, that might have a little bit of a weather gizmo attached to it as well.
Sure.
I'm looking at that. That's going to augment my skills. And yes, by myself, I may not be as good, but it helps me to make myself better. I understand coming from martial arts. You don't do the advanced stuff until you learn the basics, and you're absolutely right, Rick, about learning the basics and fundamentals, which I'm not bad at. I might be an advanced beginner or an early intermediate type of guy. I don't do it all the time, and I haven't been doing it at all lately, and I got to get back into it. But I don't see anything wrong with using technology to make me better, as long as I understand what is it doing for me that perhaps I should learn later. But right now, I don't have to use it to save my life. I use it to enjoy.
Sure. Yeah.
And I see nothing wrong with it.
No, I don't either. I'm kind of at a loss understanding, where the application is later on down the road. That's all.
Well, look at what you've just done.
The
at
application
the club.
is to I'm sorry. Let me rephrase this. The application's purpose is to raise the point of purchase for the profit motive. That's the entire.
Hey, that's beautiful. That's well said.
That's all we need.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, why is all this crap in a car? I mean, cars. I mean, the average price of an automobile in America is $32,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of that has to do with the fact that used cars are now so damn expensive because of cash for clunkers and a bunch of other crap that happened that made the market so difficult to operate in that you had to buy these newer vehicles, and you can get $20,000 for a 2 or 3 year old car when you used to be able to buy a new car for $6,000. Anyway, so they add all this crap in there. We had the debate about forcing people to use hands-free, the cell phone thing. The car dealerships and the car manufacturers were all like, yes. Why? Because it raises the price point and they can make more money. That's really all it comes down to.
But also look at the price of the car. I think, was it Heritage did a study that the average new car price is at the medium, not the higher ends, but the medium car that most people buy is higher in price by $3,800, not because of all the other stuff that the profit motive, which, people, I want to be able to put in a USB and upload some stuff to the radio so I can hear. But for all the stuff the government says that you have to have.
CAF standards, all that other crap.
Yeah, well, especially right now, it's the CAF or CAFE standards, the miles per gallon stuff. That's what's really driving a lot of the cost because of all the R&D.
They got to make the money somewhere.
Yeah, and understood.
Unlike the government, they can't just give it away.
Yeah, but at the same time, the government says, well, you'll just enjoy the savings from the higher gas mileage. Well, at the same time, you got to spend more for the car. So
I don't need higher gas mileage. What if I need a big gas guzzling truck because I have to haul equipment everywhere? Stop it. Anyway, we have to stop because we have to call Doug Sackleben from Club for Growth. We will be right back. You stay right there.
Rock Talk.